Oh, man. Big
All right, so the most recent order of business. How was the draft night for you? The WNBA draft night. Was it crazy?
It was definitely crazy. Of course, I made it home with the fam, so just being, in that moment, just knowing that your name gonna be called, knowing that that's something you dreamed of. It's all coming to fruition in that moment. It was definitely a surreal moment. Of course, you don't know how to feel, or you can't plan out how it's gonna happen because you don't know when you're gonna get drafted. You don't know, what's gonna happen, who's gonna call you. So that whole thing was definitely, it was an experience that I feel like I can't necessarily describe, but just being there and having that moment was everything for sure.
You said something though. You said knowing that you're gonna get drafted. So you knew. Did you have any doubt that you were gonna get your name called?
Oh, for sure. I mean, no, I didn't have no doubts.
All right.
I was definitely very, very, very confident in just where I was gonna fall through at, and just that whole process. I know throughout the year they have like mock drafts, and they try to dictate it off of, oh, this is where this team is going, or this player, whatever. But I was definitely confident. I had my money on first round for a minute.
Yeah.
I will say, though, in that moment, of course, it's like 11, 12 first round draft. So once I started getting to moments where it wasn't the teams that I had talked to, I definitely kind of was like, okay, like getting a little query. But I was pretty confident. It happened not exactly how I planned, but definitely happened how I kind of hoped for it to. So.
This may be a cliche question, but I always want to know, like, did you have a preference per se where you wanted to go? You don't have to tell me what that preference was if you had one, but like based on some conversations or based on looking at, okay, this is here versus this is here, I want to go there.
So initially, no. Of course, it's just like, look, if I get drafted, XYZ, this will be, set. But just based on the teams that I talked to, because within that process, you get calls from the, the coaches or assistant coaches. You sit in meetings, get to know each other. And within those teams, I definitely, I had a preference, and I don't want to say I had a preference. There was a few teams that I wouldn't have mind going to, but of course I was thankful and blessed for, whoever was ready to call my name and wanted me to be a part of their program. So.
Do those conversations, do they have, in hindsight now, when you look back, do those conversations with those franchises, was there promise there, or were they all pretty much doing the song and dance, saying what they were supposed to say? You know what I mean?
I think there was promise, because when you look at it, especially in the league now, you got vets that's in the league and about to be out, and then you got, teams just trying to evolve and everybody wants that championship. And I think, looking back at those conversations and then seeing how the season went and just seeing, where they went, it was definitely promise within those conversations, just knowing what they was looking for and what they wanted. That's definitely the things that, they lacked or they, were emphasized within those seasons. So I think it was a lot of promise for sure in a few of those conversations. So.
You said it was a dream, and I believe you, because we go back a ways, and I always knew that, this kid loves the game for real. But was there a moment during your college career where somebody either had to tell you, yo, you need to go, you going to the draft, or was it always in your mind like, yeah, I'm going?
So when I got to Texas A&M, I had a.
That was your second stop too,
yes,
right?
Yes.
We'll get to that.
So I had an assistant coach. He's a Hall of Famer. I think he actually just got a job with Kim Mulkey over at LSU. But saying it to say, he's coached plenty of players in the WNBA, NBA. I mean, I think he coached Dennis Rodman. He coached Shaq. Like he has his name out there. And I know going to A&M, that was definitely my goal, like trying to be in a place and a position where I know they breed guards or they breed, pros, and that was definitely the goal going there. I think the more that I, interacted with him and the more I spoke and, picked up stuff from him, I think he definitely, we had conversations that gave me more of that confidence or motivation, knowing, okay, like, this is in arm's reach, this is arm's length, like, this is really a thing, and it's not just a dream, or it's not you just, having your own confidence, like,
it's real.
Yeah, this is real.
Reach out and touch.
Yeah.
So did you play 2 or 3 seasons at A&M?
So I played, I want to say 2 seasons. Yeah. I really say 1.5, but right. I say 2. I played 2 seasons at Texas A&M.
Got you.
Yeah.
Oh, so since we already in the college realm, let's stay there for a minute. I remember when you graduated high school, you went to Arkansas initially, right? Yeah. What ended up happening with that particular run?
So, of course, just Arkansas being, close to home, SEC, so many good things that came with that.
And you got family in that state.
Man, yeah, for sure. So it was just kind of, I don't want to say it was home away from home, but in a sense it was. Just seemed like the right choice just as far as, like I said, I'm a family person. So when a bunch of things like that came to play, seemed like the right place. But got to Arkansas, we had a pretty good squad, but it was a lot of different stuff that took place there. Had a new coach kind of getting accustomed, and personally, I know I got sick. I got diagnosed with Graves' disease that summer. Yeah, right after I graduated, as soon as I got it to Arkansas, I got diagnosed with Graves' disease, like a little immune system, thyroid situation, and kind of threw me off. Then, of course, I got back into the flow of things, and just didn't work out. I say we didn't have the best season. Of course, I was working my way, getting back throughout that whole season, and just a bunch of decisions that, just didn't align for the best of me and the university, my goals, stuff like that. And of course, I talked to my family, and it just seemed like the best move was to, find that place that felt like home or answer the questions that I need answers.
How long were you down with the disease, with the illness, right?
I'll say, I think I got diagnosed probably like May, June-ish, and I was out. Out in and out the hospital, like all that for probably till I want to say like October, November. Yeah, so
wow.
I was pretty sick. Like it was bad.
And what's crazy is I didn't hear about all of that until the tail end of it. Maybe around like September. I'm guessing that was the tail end of it.
Yeah.
So were you straight mentally the whole time, or did you ever get scared at one point? Like,
nah, I was pretty sick. Like I had like organs failing, like I was in the hospital, like it was bad. I know my parents was pretty scared.
Right.
And of course I had never been, sick, especially like that. That was an entirely different situation. So I had my moments just because like I'd never been that weak, never been that, held down to where I'm not able to be active, nothing. Like it was so much going on. So I was a little discouraged. I had my moments for sure, especially being that young. And then coming off of McDonald's, Jordan Brand, USA, just literally all those. Yeah, so like for me to feel that high and then like literally feel like this the lowest I've ever felt because just my body just wasn't, giving me what I needed it to. So It was definitely moments of discouragement.
When you were in the hospital, were you in Arkansas or you in Oklahoma at that point?
No, so actually I was in Oklahoma. I went home. My family they weren't handling the situation how I wish they would have. Of course, your family gonna take care of you differently than what the program, what they they want you there to ball. So
yeah, that love is a little bit different.
So colors kind of show whenever stuff like that kind of happens. So I would end up going home and I was with my family. I was in Oklahoma probably for a few months. I didn't even start school when everybody started. I was still back home trying to recover. So yeah.
That sounds like you started off in reverse.
Man, literally.
Can you remember when you got back to feeling good, though?
Yeah, shoot.
From a basketball standpoint, I mean.
I really didn't even start feeling good probably till off season or when I got to Texas A&M, just because I kind of left me in a boat of kind of trying to figure that, get back process to myself. I kind of had to figure that out for myself or just use my own kind of resources, of course. And and it was during the season as well, so, it didn't help. So I'm trying to catch up and trying to be a part of the program, what's going on now. So wasn't able to really focus on the stuff that I really hoped to. But once I transitioned out, figured out, what was next, stuff started kind of, smooth sailing for sure. So.
You know what? I just thought about this now. I just remembered during that particular year. I think if I misspeak, correct me, but. Wasn't there a little bit of a story down in Arkansas with taking the knee and all of that during the national anthem?
For sure.
And I saw there's no Leah Wilson sighting right there. So it looked like you were together with the team as much as you could be. Well, am I looking at that right?
Yeah, so that was definitely, I want to say our team was the first team to actually like kneel collegiately, like especially basketball wise, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, being in Arkansas, Arkansas is what it is, and bunch of stuff was going on things this time. Colin Kaepernick had just, kneeled. All that stuff was going on. Another police killing. And just we had a few vets on our team that were just like, they were great leaders. Like, we had a really, really good squad. We should have went further than what we did, but we had some really good leaders, and I know everything that was going on. And we had a team meeting, and for myself, of course, being young, I was like, I don't want to say I was upset. I'm upset with myself now, but it was a position where I'm like, okay, I'm just getting back, and I feel like that was the first moment where I actually kind of had to, like, think about or factor in, okay, like, this is what I stand for, and this is what I do, basketball or whatever, but
you had to separate them, so to speak?
Yeah, kind of having to actually, like, look in the mirror or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so that was a hard decision in that moment itself, because, like I said, I had some really good vets that were just like, okay, like, this is what we're going to do. You know, y'all can support us, whatever, and this was that. But a few of my teammates, definitely Neil, you know, was with them. We stood strong together with that, and got a lot of backlash for that, for sure. I think it definitely hit the national scene and all that. And like I said, just being, you know, in the area that we were in, you know, there was a lot of turmoil that took place, you know, even within our leader or our coaches and stuff like that. So just kind of showed, I don't say showed true colors, but it definitely shook up a few things in the program too.
Yeah.
So.
But character matters though. So
yeah, it does.
I was pretty impressed when I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now moving on to the next chapter, you're at A&M, right? Mm-hmm. So I would imagine you kept those relationships intact from when you were getting recruited, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you were able to pick up that phone and dial, or how did it come about?
Yeah, it definitely made it, like you said, made it easier just coming from high school and having, you know, creating really good relationships with a bunch of different coaches. Yeah. Coming from that Arkansas situation, I was kind of already able to kind of write down, you know, this is what I need, this is what I want, you know, trying to figure out those things just based on my experience and what I had dealt with.
Did somebody put you up to that, or that was just your own thought, like, I'm going to make this list, the do's, the don'ts, the needs?
So it was I had a conversation with my dad for sure, and like and, you know, his thing's always like, control what you can control. I think that's probably been one of my base sayings my whole life that he's, you know, taught to me. And in that moment, you know, I'm dealing with this stuff during season, so it's like, okay, at this moment, you kind of, every game is basically your tryout for whoever you want to play for. So
flat out auditioning.
Yeah, so at that moment, it's like, all right, now it's time to start, you know, planning or whatever. And so he definitely just told me, like, all right, well, you know, you're not happy, you know, whatever's going on, then now it's time to start working on yourself as well. And so that's when I started kind of, okay, start planning this out. This is what I've been through here, and this is what I'm looking for. This is the goal. This is, you know, these are the things that I hope to have, you know, take place. And just taking that and the talks we had, and then on top of, like I said, putting in that self-work, I think it kind of made it easier within that decision, just because, one, I knew I wanted to be in Texas. I just love Texas. Basketball, as far as that goes, the weather, like living, you know, money, you know, all that stuff. So that was perfect. And then just being close to home, then, like I said, the goal was always to play pro. So just knowing those things and knowing, like I said, the relationships that I built within that process, it was kind of easier because A&M, you know, I had a really, really, really good relationship with all those coaches. You know, I had a few visits out there. I knew what they were about. Even, you know, one of Oklahoma's legends, Courtney Walker, been there. So just had a bunch of different ties that just kind of felt like home and felt good. So definitely kind of made that easier.
When you started chopping it up with Coach at Texas A&M, were you able to share with them, hey, this is what I'm sort of looking for, or was it a different type of courting process? Yeah,
for sure. So we were able to, you know, be real and, you know, upfront, and everything that I, you know, brought to the table, they had an answer for, you know. Ooh. And I had even already experienced that within, you know, my visits, or just conversations that I've had with some of the girls that are there now, or that had already been there. And so it kind of made it way easier, for sure.
So there was no hard feelings from the fact that you didn't elect to go there out the gate? I know that sounds super petty, but...
No, that's real, yeah. No, it wasn't. And that was kind of what was cool, too, because, like, that was something we were able to joke about, even when I had committed to Arkansas, or when I was on, you know, had visited other, you know, places that, you know,
cheating on them.
Yeah, were rivals to them.
Right.
You know, they still showed love, and they, you know, we was able to clown and joke about it, and, you know, that was kind of the base of our relationship too. What made it so good was we were able to be open and real, and, you know, they always stayed genuine with me, as did I, and, it worked out for the best for both of us.
Was it a good fit pretty much immediately once you got there, or did it take a minute for you to find your footing?
Oh, yeah, it was a really good fit. And I came in with a real good class. So a few of the girls I had played with in my EYBL in high school, I was actually kind of talking to during, that time, because I was a year ahead of a few of them. And then there were some that were coming in. There was a recruiting class coming in that same year. So that, as well as, the relationship I had with the coaches, everything kind of just, it made sense. And then it came in perfectly. That was a redshirt year. Like I said, I had everything I took, that took place at Arkansas. That redshirt year kind of gave me the perfect opportunity to reestablish myself and get that base back solid. And like I said, that on top of knowing everybody and kind of having those relationships, everything gelled pretty smoothly.
Academically, were you ahead of the curve? It sounds like you were.
So that's what's funny though. So I was when I was at Arkansas, I was for sure. But just coming to Texas A&M, I kind of got a little distracted just because I was like so basketball happy. Like I'm finally in a space, like I'm happy, like I can ball, like I got people that's feeding into me.
My body's on my side now.
And so I slacked a little bit. And funny thing, actually, during this time, I want to say maybe my first few months, it was only summertime, but don't get me wrong, I wasn't like doing horrible, but there's a standard. And I remember my mom, she doesn't never really called about ball or nothing like that, but she like called one of my assistant coaches randomly, checking on me, and she just was asking about my grades and stuff like that. And I remember one day I'm in like study hall randomly. My coach came in there and she was like, Wilson, like, come here, whatever. I had to go in the office and we talking about my grades and stuff. And at this moment, I don't think I've been checking my grades and stuff as frequently. But like I said, they weren't horrible. But
you all right?
The standard, yeah, it's good enough. But crazy thing is, this is my first few months there, and she took me. We had a conversation, and it wasn't up to the level that they wanted, nor my mom and them wanted, and they actually like had kicked me out the gym for like. They kicked me out of the gym for like a few weeks until like it was. Yes. Oh, I was hurt. Like I was
suspended.
Man, it hurt for real. I remember that, and it was crazy because I wasn't expecting it. Like I said, everything rolling, like everything was good, but yeah, I had slacked off a little bit, and they did that, and of course I got on my stuff. I think I got honor roll every year after that, and a bunch of more stuff, but. That itself kind of set the tone for like, this is A&M, this is what they expect from me, and just the fact that they handled it the way they did gave me so much more respect for the program, that coach, all that. So
yeah, shout out to them and to mom.
Right.
Now you gotta help me dispel something, or because maybe I've not been given good information because. Mm-hmm. Of course, I coach, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm telling my players all the time at this high school level, hey, when you get to wherever you go, if you're blessed enough to get to that point, ain't no such thing as your parents calling your coaches on your behalf about nothing. But in this case, it looks like it happened. Yeah,
and for sure, like you out there on your own. But I think in this case, it was kind of different. Just one because. I don't know, you have some players that, their parents try to, I'm sure some coaches blocking some people's parents' numbers because they trying to, but like you said, it don't really have a factor or an effect. But in that case, it was just kind of different. And I don't know, my parents, they don't call, they don't call much. They know I'm not a problematic child, like stuff like that. Programs know that, coaches know that. So I think that situation was kind of different just because, like, okay, we don't ever get a call from, XYZ about basketball, so I think that kind of just caught their attention, and them knowing, okay, this means that much to her or her family, then we need to prioritize this as well. So I think it was more so one of those type of situations for sure.
That's hard. I'm guessing that was the only call she had to make. Didn't have to revisit
that. Nah, not at all. Not at all.
Take me through that season, which would have been your junior season, right, when you eventually got on the floor? Mm-hmm. How was that for you personally?
So my first season, coming out that red shirt year, it was crazy because I'm on the court with some talented players like Kennedy Carter, Kayla Wells, just a few players that I played with. And so just that itself, and then knowing like I haven't played in like 2 years, like I'm as healthy as I've been, right. I've been, getting work in, whatever. And I was pretty confident at that point, but just getting out there, it felt good. And I want to say the first few games we was blowing people out. We was rolling for sure. So just myself personally, I was pretty confident. I think, I don't know, I want to say that was, I don't know. I know I was hot though. I was about to throw out some numbers, but I can't even throw them out. Yeah.
So you were in the mix. You were getting minutes in rotation early on.
Yeah, I was starting. Like I was probably playing the most minutes out of everybody as soon as we came out. Yeah.
You remember what your role was? You know what I mean? Where were you? I'm gonna tell you where that question came from because I watched particularly your senior season. Mm-hmm. Again, correct me if I'm off, but you seemed like the go-to defender.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would draw some of the toughest matchups each night in multiple different positions.
Yeah.
And like if you scored, which you can, that was almost like a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like primarily you was that dog on the other end.
For sure. So I want to say that season I was definitely more of a scorer. I was doing both, I think, kind of equally, but I was definitely more of a scorer. Just like I said, I was with Kennedy Carter at that time. She was really hot. She was, can score whenever she wants to, but I was that second go-to or the other go-to as well. So it was definitely relying on me to score, but I was also, locking down people because that's something I enjoy doing. I take it personal. So it was definitely the best of both worlds in that moment.
Now, since we're speaking to those that are watching and listening, how did that season finish for you?
So
for y'all, rather.
That season was my junior year.
Right.
I know personally, I played 7 games. I ended up tearing my ACL in Hawaii. I know I was rolling. I think I was like averaging 16. Like we was playing really good. But that season, we ended up going to, I think we made the Sweet 16. Lost out to Notre Dame, who ended up being the national champs that year, I believe. So yeah.
So what happened as to how you tore your ACL? You remember what you did?
I do. We were in Hawaii, actually. It was a beautiful trip. I mean, to this day, I still love it. I can't wait to go back.
Right.
But we were out there. Can't remember who we were playing, but just something simple, going up for a rebound. I like to jump, so I think this particular time, I know for a fact, I got up pretty high. I got a little contact and they lost balance a little bit, and I just kind of landed funky on my left leg, and I knew I kind of messed it up, whatever. But that moment, of course, we're in Hawaii too, so you can't get no MRI, you can't get no just stupid stuff like that. So I kind of had to wait, but I definitely did that. I tore ACL, MCL, something like that, but they ended up taking place. But it was just cool. I won't say it was cool. We were in Hawaii, and just seeing how that took place and seeing how my team responded and just seeing how much they, cared about me and stuff like that it made the moment lighter at least. And just like I said, we were in Hawaii, so that's makes any moment more beautiful.
So. See, I don't have that on my jacket yet, so I'm gonna have to see what that Hawaii trip is all about.
Sure.
So how was that recovery process? Was it grueling?
Yeah, it was. I had a whole new respect for anybody that dealt with that injury because especially the women's game, you see that happens so often.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty prevalent.
Yeah, so it's she tore her ACL, but going through that process and just knowing what it took to come back and the mental and the physical capacity, I definitely would say my hat's off to anybody that's dealt with that, because that was a pretty tough situation to come back from, learn how to walk over again and all that. It's just a bunch of rebuilding. So
I was always told that the one that gets damaged once it gets rehabilitated is stronger than the other one, and it's stronger than it was before it got. Is that true?
Yeah, for the most part, just because you kind of, if you want to stay at that top level of performance, once you get back, it's like you gotta have to stay rehabbing. You have to stay keeping that strength in those areas, in that leg, whatever. So I definitely do believe that's true. I know now so many different things. I'm working on the other leg, and I'm like, dang, you supposed to be the stronger one.
They're not on the same page.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you remember the amount of time, if there was any amount of time, between when you got fully recovered physically and the moment where you mentally trusted it? You see what I mean?
Yeah. So I want to say it was probably like a year and a half.
Till you trusted it again?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just because my process with then coming back also, of course, life always throwing stuff at you.
Oh, no doubt.
But our trainer, one of our head trainers had got a job at the Denver Broncos, something like that, something crazy. So I was kind of left in a position where I was dealing with just a regular trainer. So it wasn't the same level of performance and rehab that I needed.
Yeah.
So within that itself, I didn't feel as confident or as strong. Then once I finally kind of got with someone that was helping me get back to that place of me feel a little more confident in that space of where I needed to be, then that kind of helped me more. So I want to say that first year and a half, I still was definitely head case. And, you know, that trend was down to your body. So
for sure.
Yeah.
How early in your senior season were you healthy?
Shoot. So I want to say, so when COVID hit, that was the summer that was like the moment I kind of got somebody that was, you know, pretty consistent, pretty elite at what they was doing. And I want to say that summer I stayed back, and I know everybody had like went home, whatever, but I had stayed back and trained, whatever. And I want to say maybe about 2 months of that summer, I was going at it probably almost every day. And as soon as we started back, like I remember our first workout when everybody was back, like I felt so good. They thought they were like, what Wilson? Yeah, like what Wilson then been doing or whatever.
They was waiting for him to get back.
Man, I was so excited. But no, I felt amazing though. And then from then on, you know, once I felt that, you know, once we feel that progression and feel how good, you know, how good it feels once we got on the other side of everything, I feel like it become addicting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where, you know, the space I was in after I felt good and I knew like, all right, like if I take care of XYZ, I'll be good. So from then on, I mean,
fear was gone.
Yeah.
Did you keep the brakes on her?
No, oh man, I threw that thing.
I respect it. I respect it. Now, did you make it through your entire senior season without any injuries?
Yeah.
That's hard. That's hard.
That was the first full. That's why I say I feel like I only played like a year and a half too, because I finally had a moment and opportunity where I was healthy and I was able to just play and not think about everything else or my body or worry about none of that. So felt good for sure.
That's dope. Yeah. Okay, so you get drafted, right? Now, who you ended up with is not who drafted you. Take me through that.
So I got drafted by Seattle Storm, first round, 11 pick.
There you go.
Then probably 5-10 minutes later, I get a call from Tamika Catchings, and she's like, Aaliyah, you know, like you coming to Indiana. Of course, in that moment, that made more sense to me because I didn't have much of a conversation with Seattle at all within that process. So, of course, getting drafted by them, that kind of threw me off because I wasn't expecting that pick to be me because of who it was picking. But Seattle drafted me. Then I was instantly, you know, traded to Fever. I think it was a trade for a player named Kennedy Burke for me. And so that was cool. Like I said, I got a call from Tamika Catchings, you know, welcome me to Indiana. And those 10 minutes or whatever itself was just so crazy, just trying to grasp on to everything that was taking place. But Indiana's where I ended up, and you know, Indiana's a basketball state, so that was really, really cool.
Yeah. How soon after that night did you have to report? You know what I mean? 'Cause these are little details that I didn't even really know about. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm thinking like a movie. Oh, you get drafted, hey, you hug, you kiss, whatever, and you gone that night, but probably not, right?
No, so I think I got drafted maybe like on I could be wrong on these dates, but maybe on like a Wednesday or a Thursday. I was in Indiana by Sunday.
Okay.
So yeah.
What was the first order of business when you got to Indiana?
First order of business. Dang. Oh, of course what did we do? I don't know. Oh, physical gear and physicals, gear and physicals. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then of course shaking hands with the coaches and everything like that, meeting everybody. So probably got in that night. The next morning, went over there, probably met everybody, got some gear, and just kind of got acquainted with the athletic trainer and stuff like that. Just little small meetings. So,
for real.
Yeah.
How long before it was time to get on that court and get to work?
Yeah, like 5 days, maybe something like that. But we was that was before training camp. We were able to, once we got cleared from everything, of course, still COVID and all that was still going on at the time. Well, still going on, but you know what I mean?
It is.
But we were able to start individuals and stuff like that maybe like 2-3 days afterwards.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool though. It was exciting.
Yeah. Can you remember your welcome to the league moment when you in there, when you putting in work on that court, whether it was something competitive where you had to lock horns with somebody? It's like, oh snap, okay, it's a different level here. Or maybe it didn't happen until the season started.
I'll probably say just within the team, within training camp, Tierra McCowan, I always mess up her last name. She played for Mississippi State, but she was my teammate last year. And, you know, especially in the W, of course, everybody does pick and rolls, but that's go-to action for, especially in the WNBA. And I don't know. I think I might have been guarding my teammate, Victoria Vivens. She can shoot, kind of big body guard. Mm-hmm. And they play together. So they played together in college at Mississippi State. So they got some, chemistry. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just know I probably was guarding her and she was about to come off a screen. I didn't know the screen was there. And they had this thing where they set a good screen, but then when you got a bigger post, they know how to roll you behind to keep you behind. So the screen itself kind of took off my balance, but then that roll behind, mind you, during this time we're the coaches emphasizing like, Wilson, get over the screens, stuff like that, and then Vivens then probably knocked down however XYZ, however many before. So just that moment itself, getting hit by that screen, then getting pent up.
Yeah, they force you into the switch.
Yeah, then she knocked down a three. So then, that whole possession itself is jacked up. So, and of course, I'm the rookie, so coach is ready to get on my head. Just stuff like that. Probably that possession itself was like so many things took place. I'm trying to get my physical back right. Then I'm trying to get my mind to get over this screen. Just all those things taking place within itself is just like there were so many things in that moment that were simple but were difficult, and that's kind of the W though. Like it's the same stuff you've been doing your whole life, but at a different level. Expectations are higher, and just all this stuff like that. So I feel like just within the team, that was probably my first like that moment, or I don't know, like some rookie duty of having to like carry some shoes or something like that. But just, yeah, something like that. So.
Would you say you had some good veterans there too, similar to the ones you had when you got to A&M? Or Arkansas when you said you had some good ones?
I had a few. I definitely had a few good vets. I know my favorite, but the one that really, took me under her wing was Jantel Lavender. She played at Ohio State. She's been in the league for a few years, but she was definitely probably my favorite, and she definitely kind of took me under her wing and put me on a lot of game. Honestly, helped me out through that whole season and just gave me perspective of the W itself, and what to prepare for, and how to go about stuff, and just knowing that you are a business. Just so many different things like that she just was putting in my ear and helped plant very early. So.
All right. Before we go into how that season went, was it a big adjustment in the way that you were being coached? And the reason I'm asking that is because you've always been, from my vantage point, since I got to coach you a couple of years, a pretty mild-mannered kid. Like, you could get at you however we need to. If it's like this, or if I need to rev it up, change the language up and get colorful, you respond. Yeah. How was it this particular year?
It was different. Yeah, it was different. Just like you said, at the professional level, and just me being that rookie, just coming out of college, and so it's like so many things you're trying to understand and figure out as it goes, because everything happens so quick. Yeah. So for me, I think it was a little bit more difficult, probably the most difficult transition, just for a sense of trying to understand the things that I had to take care of myself, and I need to know and understand myself, and trying to understand within a program that's still rebuilding and still trying to find itself, where I not so much fit in, but how I can help and where I need to help, or what it is that I need to know. Because in a sense, because of where we were and where we're trying to go, we were all kind of on the same page of trying to figure out this program, trying to figure out what we're going to be defined by, how we're going to go, how we're going to flow. So it was different, just trying to adjust. And Coach Stanley was definitely a different coach than I've had, probably all the years that I've played. She's definitely a different coach than what I have had. Never had a woman coach either. So just stuff like that, that played into effect. So
yeah, that's true.
It was a few adjustments. Yeah.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had a lot of the fellas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you say that you ever got to that point or took strides to get to that point to where it's like, all right, I found an identity at this level. I found an identity with this particular club. Mm-hmm. This is how I can help. Did you ever find your lane?
Yeah, here and there. Like I said, because the season we had, it kind of made it difficult because things are always changing, always trying to figure stuff out. But at the end, especially towards the end, I was able to kind of just identify where I not where I fit in, but where I can help, where, what I do or what it is that I need to bring to the table, or what I need to bring to help, help this program, or help, just my role in general. But I can definitely say towards the end, I was more, sure of what it was needed, and all those other things. So,
by your own standards, what would you say was your best performance as a pro thus far?
So it was a tough season.
Yeah.
I had a game, maybe it was against either Connecticut or Phoenix. I think it was like my first game. I actually got some decent play.
Right.
And I think I don't know. I know I just felt good in that game. Like I got out there, I got a solid little, few minutes, and I just played. Like I was relaxed and I played. And I know I did a few things that was me versus kind of thinking or trying to, make the right play or trying to overthink this play that's about to come and trying to think about it 2 possessions before, like just outside of that type of stuff. And I actually was just like relaxed and like this is where I belong. This is what I do. And I can't remember if it was Phoenix or Connecticut. I know it was one of them, but I knocked down a few shots. Probably got to the rack. So that that always just feels good.
Loosen some things up a little bit. Was it a matter of like looking over your shoulder, like, all right, am I gonna be able to play through a few? Was it one of those? Or would you say that had something to do with that?
Yeah, I mean, the program, like I said, we were trying to figure ourselves out, trying to get some wins, trying to figure out, who is Indiana. And within that, there's so many things or so many moments where, some fingers can be pointed or, we trying to figure out, where's the problem or where are we lacking that we should be having, answers to or whatever, stuff like that. So, it's, it was a season full of just trying to figure things out. And I think it was definitely just not wanting to mess up, kind of looking at the coach because, like I said, I'm the rookie too. So, so just that itself, I don't want to say pressure, but it just definitely make you think more. Or in that moment for myself, it made me think more. But of course, getting past that and understanding, this, like I said, we all pros. This is where you at, and this is what you do. So you gotta act like that. So.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions or misperceptions about you or about what it is to be a professional athlete? And where I'm coming from, a lot of people think immediately as soon as you got your name called and your pictures are plastered all over the TV screen and social media and everything, immediately she's a superstar. Immediately she's papered up. You know what I mean? Immediately she's from here, now she's gone. Like what's accurate, what's inaccurate about that whole breakdown?
So it's all a process. Like I know people like to compare the W2 NBA or NFL, whatever, but it's not the same. Like it's the WNBA, still evolving. Just this is the 26th year. I know the NBA is 75 years in. I don't know how long NFL is in, but saying that to say that amongst itself is just to show like it's still a process. No, it's not so many, like it's not, bank, like you don't have that much money. Well, I won't say they don't have that much money, but you're not super paid that quick. It's still a process within that. No, you're not. Of course, people know your face, know your name, whatever, but, certain stuff plays a factor into that. So it's just like everything isn't as clear cut as everybody feels like it is. You're not automatically just, A-list.
Right.
Celebrity, whatever, all that crazy stuff. So it's still a process, and even just being in the States, like for us as women, we get paid more majority of the time going to play overseas than we would here in the States. But like I said, it's a process. So of course within a few years, whatever, you are feeling as good financially or stuff like that as most people probably think you are straight off or when it first happens. But it's a lot of different things though that people probably think take place or how it goes, but it's all a process.
You gotta twist it.
Yeah, it's a process for sure. It's still a dream though, and everything, like it's exciting, but comes with it, and just understanding like this dream still has a process. So.
We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but how you eating these days? You know what I mean? I know you're a foodie. I know you come from fam that like to make sure that belly's full.
Yeah. So I'm picky. Only chicken and seafood. Don't eat too many fried foods. I mean, if I do, it has to be on a cheat day, or I'm literally, playing. Like I say, I come home, I know I'm gonna eat good at least a few days after that first week. So just kind of planning within that. But like I said, chicken and seafood, basically like rices and pasta. It's pretty. I won't say boring because I'm eating the same type of stuff, pretty consistently. Because, like I said, I'm the production and the progress you see within the way you eat and the way you move and the way your body feels, stuff like that. It's really easy for me to get, I won't say addicted, but in a sense, like
I know
stuck
exactly
to that. Yeah. So then of course I start kind of cooking too, just because like, of course you can make chicken and salmon, whatever, all that stuff, but you don't want to be eating the same way every single time. So that kind of make me dig in that bag a little bit deeper too, just to spice things up a little bit.
Variety.
Yeah.
You still gotta live.
Yeah.
And you said something yesterday when I asked you about those cravings. I was like, because I understand the discipline, I respect it, but I'm like, every now and again you gotta get that itch. And then, but you said something. You said and I'm paraphrasing, but you said your body and your physical well-being. Or your performance, for lack of a better word, that overtakes whatever cravings you have.
For sure.
She's a professional.
It does for sure, because of course, see some ice cream or whatever XYZ. My mouth might get a little bit watery, but in those moments though, I definitely know, or I know when to choose and pick. Like I know this is not what my body needs right now. Whatever. Like you said, it overtakes for sure. Mm-hmm. So
some of those relationships that you were a part of before you got to this level, how many of those have you been able to maintain and to salvage?
So I definitely, I'm not big on the phone thing, but I definitely make sure that I'm still responding or still, keeping those relationships. I have a few coaches. I have a few adult counterparts. I guess I'm kind of adult too, but still, yeah. I like but I still have those relationships to where, I reach out, we talk, we connect, and, they know it's still mutual and stuff like that. Kind of a person that kind of tries to figure out stuff for myself, but I guess in those moments, that's what kind of makes those relationships even greater, because I know I can reach out to whoever to get some advice on, something I know that they're more aware of or whatever, stuff like that. So things like that, and then sometimes coming home, I reach out to some people I know, like Coach Rowland. When you home, let me know. I'll get you some ribs or something like that, So
yeah, I'm telling you, that's one of the vices right there. You gonna have that food,
man. So just small things like that, and then like just trying to stay connected in the community, stuff like that, so people know that relationship or those things are still there. Nothing's changed.
Mm-hmm. Have you had to set some boundaries for some folks in your personal life yet? You know what I mean? Because you're relatively accessible, but then again, not so much. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, if I reach out to you and you don't hit me back immediately, I'm like, that's dope. You know what I mean? Because you doing whatever you got to do. You know what I mean? So how's that been? That part?
It's been cool. One thing that's you got to always, I feel like just anybody has to be big on this. Like you said, setting those boundaries are for yourself and knowing, okay, like I can make myself accessible, this much, but there are certain things where I'm like, okay, this draws the line. And just for myself, I know what I got going on in my life. I know, where my heart is, stuff like that. So in the sense of that, I just make it a priority to respond when I can and whenever within the time I can, or keep those connections within, while I can, or as frequent as I can, but also like not feeling bad or not feeling horrible for knowing that I have a lot going on and, my time isn't on the same time as someone else's, or knowing like, okay, like this is my friend or whatever, and, what they're asking of me or whatever is being asked of can't be, done in that moment, whatever. So just knowing, my heart is in a good spot or in a genuine spot, and if the people around me, they know that, then can't be too many hard feelings or whatever, because you know me. And if you feel some way, then that means
that tells you
it
what you
speaks
need
for
to
itself. Yeah, for sure.
You're thinking about it the right way. All right, now we sort of went from the end and then we're working our way backwards. So tell me about your AAU experience. The reason why I asked that question is because you played for a few different organizations, and I'm comparing what I know about that period of your life to how it was in college for you and how it was as a pro. And it seemed like a lot of moving around at all of those levels. Did that prepare you at all? And
Definitely.
who all did you play for?
Right. So first I played for, so I know I started with like a team, a Tulsa Ballers or something like that. Like
when you were like elementary age?
Yeah, it was like 6th, 7th grade, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then I ended up playing with, at that point, I think I have a cousin named Shannon. I don't know, you know Shannon.
Yep,
Shannon Lane, Arkansas. I would go out there during the summertime. That's when I kind of just started getting into AAU and all that. And I would train with him. And then I would play with his team. And then finally, Oklahoma final team, Tim Gill. and that started, and I think we was locked in for a very long time.
Was that Blue Star?
Yeah, so we started Oklahoma N1, and that went on probably up to like 9th, 10th grade. Then I have my older sister Alexis. She had some teams she played on. Of course, this time was kind of when we getting more of an understanding of the showcases and stuff like that, those levels or whatever, EYB, just things like that. So I ended up going and playing with her older team, Oklahoma Select, probably like, I want to say like my freshman year.
Right.
Freshman, sophomore year, something like that. And, of course, all of them gave me different experiences, but I did that. And then my final, I think I might have went back to Tim, the year after, because my sister and them graduated. That was an older class. But then
she was 3 years older than you,
Yeah. So after that, I went back to Tim for another year. Then I ended up going to play for DFW Elite EYBL in Dallas, Texas out there. So.
That was super fascinating to me at that time. I was like, all right, so basically what you're telling me is that you're playing for a team that's based in a whole different state. And I'm like, all right, well, logistically, how you going to get to these practices? And how was that? Now, that I wasn't gawking too much, but that was the time I was like, yo, she a little bit of a star. Yo, what the hell's going on? So how was that like? You got to get to practice once, twice a week? How'd that work?
Yeah, so me and my dad were driving to Dallas maybe like at the end or middle of the week every week, at least get one practice in. But knowing everything that the EYBL circuit offered, that team offered, and just knowing like my goal was get more what's the word? Get more looks or whatever.
Exposure.
Yeah, exposure. There we go. Get more exposure for sure, and then I want to be a McDonald's All-American and stuff like that.
Oh, that was a thought.
Yeah. So like me and my dad, of course, my dad's big on goals and like talking about stuff like that. Write it down. Dream, pray, study, play. That's his thing. So we sat down and talked, and of course I had kind of accomplished pretty much quite a few things already. Got a lot of offers, whatever. But I knew, okay, at this point, this is what I wanted to do. I want to be a McDonald's All-American. I want the USA trial, to be invited, stuff like that. And I don't know who my dad talked to or whatever, but that was the next step, finding a team at EYBL that's giving you exposure, scouts, the people that's writing in the blogs and giving those, go-aheads for the McDonald's All-American, stuff like that. So just knowing that, and like I said, we traveling out there probably once a week for sure. And it was definitely worth it. I think I might have actually lived, I lived out there probably the rest of that summer, or that whole summer basically, with my teammate Kennedy Carter and her family. So that was cool.
With you being such a homebody, was that a hard adjustment?
Kinda, yeah. At first, just because, that's not nothing. I wasn't used to, traveling, especially not with my family, stuff like that. But it was easy to get adjusted because, like I said, I knew it was for a greater cause. I knew I was doing it for, making that sacrifice for my goal or my dreams or whatever. And I got accustomed pretty quick, just being around those people. And like I said, when you're having fun, you playing ball, everything's kind of, working how you want it to. You don't think too much about the other stuff. So
when those offers started rolling in, were they flattering to you at any point, or were you able to keep your feet on the ground the whole time? Because listen, you used to have between you and Jada Ford and Trina Mims, you used to have the gym just full of anybody you could think of during the Muskogee days.
Honestly, even to this day, I'm still trying to see things as big as they are.
Right.
I think I was pretty grounded. Of course, it was cool. Of course, everybody kind of more hype about it than me, but in the moments and times, okay, cool, but I still got to get X, Y, and Z done, or I still got to get this done, or I'm still waiting for this person to walk in, stuff like that. So I won't say I'm not easily amused, but at the same time, I don't know. It didn't get me excited as I wish it would have, or most people probably would have. But it was still a really humbling experience, though. Just knowing that we were blessed enough to have those coaches, those people coming in, that buzz, especially around Muskogee. So.
Yeah. Well, since we're there now, we got to talk about your high school run. Okay, so you were a 4-year varsity player and 4-year varsity starter. I don't think you started right away as a freshman.
Nah. I was in and out.
In and out?
Yeah.
Okay, so some may call you the best player, the best basketball player to ever come through Muskogee in either program, as far as how decorated you are, the accolades, all the stuff you accomplished.
Yeah.
How you feel about that? To that, you would say what?
Personally, I would agree, but I also give my hat. I take my hat off to those before me that I know paved that way, or even within our women's history. Just of course, when I get accolades or when I get congratulated for something, I always gotta include my sister because I know the path that she said and stuff like that. And so just other players like that, like Kamara Stansel, Shanika Bree, all of them. Like I've been.
If you wanted to.
Look, I've been lucky enough to have those conversations with them, stuff like that. So I personally, I would take it just because like that's Muskogee and it's a feel good thing, and all that. But we had to think about it, had to sit down. I'd accept it, and I put a bid in for myself for sure. So
yeah. Listen, can you remember when you got to that point at the varsity level? It was like, oh, I'm here. You know what I mean? And I'm not just a face in the crowd. I'm like that. And to me, it was your sophomore year. That's why I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, like I said, I don't want to say I don't think about stuff, but
yeah, it's probably in the back of your mind somewhere.
Yeah, but maybe like my junior year when we went to state.
Yeah, we got to the
final. Yeah, that whole little state run, I think that was definitely like, all right, like
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here for sure. So
we got to the finals. That was 2015, and we played against the conference folk, right? Broken Arrow, right? And they ended up winning it for the second year in a row. But we went to overtime though, right? It was like one offensive rebound that we gave up, away from possibly being champs. Can you compare the excitement, right, from playing all the stages you played on? Which one of those compares the most to being in the state championship? Because high school is still high school.
Man,
that's hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dang, I might have to go college.
Right.
And dang, that's tough. I feel like high school and college, those are the most hyped up, especially in the moment for women's basketball, and just the way that like it's nothing like your whole town or your whole city or everybody that that knows you, being in an arena and having that that crowd or it being so hyped up how state is for us, and then I take that and I compare like college, say whenever you go into the Sweet 16 or when you playing those big rivalry games, those, I feel like those probably compare the most to me as far as how hype and how, exciting those moments are and the fans and the crowd and all of that. I have to definitely go college just because that's a different type of feeling.
Yeah. So. Okay, on the last part of the high school one, your senior season, 2016, we knew, like, we wouldn't necessarily say it at that time, but after that year was over, if we're being honest, we knew that after y'all's graduating class, the program was getting ready to change. You know what I mean? A lot of talent was going to be leaving, and it wasn't necessarily a lot of it coming right after. So it was essentially the end of an era. And we're like, if we can't get this title now, it ain't going to happen.
Man.
But it felt like we were about to get it, though.
Man.
So we played Midwest City in the semis. We lost to them in double OT. They went on the next night and they won the title. But I remember going into the dressing room after we lost that game, and of course, pretty much every one of the other seniors, because there was 6 of y'all.
Yeah.
They were going through their emotions, but you were sitting over in your seat, and I peeped you, just clear eyes, dry face, and all of that. And what was going through your mind at the time? Can you remember?
Yeah, it was a few things.
Yeah, because you were boo-hooing the year before.
Yeah.
In the finals, we lost.
So actually, I know that year before, my mom was like, she got on me, and she's like, one, of course, is more to life, but my parents were big on like just, especially my dad, like controlling what you control, like taking everything as a win, like this is a loss or whatever, but we learn from it, and what's next, we can't too much contemplate. And just in that moment, one, I knew I had left everything on that court that night. I know I wish I was hurting for sure, but just knowing I definitely put out what I had in me, and then knowing like this not the end, like this is just like I'm just getting started. So just things like that kind of were in the back of my mind. It was definitely a sad moment, like you said, just knowing that was supposed to have been ours, and especially knowing what was next. Like, we could have knocked them teams out easily, but just that itself, and then knowing like I still got college to go. I'm shooting for the pros, or all of that going into place, and just thinking about all those things. I think my McDonald's stuff was coming up too. So I had all that going on, and internally I was definitely sad, and I was feeling with them. But it was just like, this is a lesson. We can't win them all, but what's next? And that's kind of where I was at, honestly. And like you said, we had been in that position the year before, so it was just like,
it was tough.
We've been here, yeah.
We've been at the 3 straight years in a row in your case. Your sophomore through. We missed it your freshman year. We definitely should have been there. Yeah. It's another conversation for another day. But all right, you actually said the thing that I was thinking. The first thing out of your mouth was basically you emptied the tank. Yeah. You gave it everything you could, and I think when you do that, honestly, you can sit there and you can be content with wherever the chips fell, you can be all right with it. Yeah. If you held back, then you're gonna be
holding on to it.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. So let me not forget. Also, when it comes to your accolades, you got 2 years in a row, right, as the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Oklahoma?
Yes.
How was that? How you feeling about that? What all went into that?
Yeah, that was different. That was exciting though, for sure, because I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I remember one day my dad's like, "Hey, fill this out. Somebody's like trying to nominate you for player, Gatorade, whatever," and I still wasn't even understanding, what it was.
Right.
But that was pretty dope. Like you said, Gatorade Player of the Year in the whole state, and just knowing I was able to do it 2 years in a row, and I want to say all except for maybe McDonald's and all that, I had never really been aware of all the accolades that I could get or whatever. It wasn't so much as a thing that I was reaching for. And like my junior year, that's when everything kind of rolled in like that. So that was like kind of my first understanding of those things and of those awards. So especially that year, like it was just all just super exciting and like, wow, like, okay, like you said, that was the year that I'm like, okay, like I'm here, like this is it's me, yeah, for sure. So that was super exciting, and then even to just be able to see those banners in the gym and just
still,
yeah, like that made me feel, that's I guess the status of me understanding like what I was able to do, or that's a reminder. So
heck yeah. Now the McDonald's All-American nomination. Where were you when you got the word that it's official? I'm in the game. I made the team. I'm going to the shop.
So I was we were at home. Me and my mom and dad, we were sitting on the couch, and with that, literally everybody, of course, you got your number one players in the class, stuff like that, but that situation was different for me because I had just got the exposure that I was really hoping for. My rankings had just went up, and I think I was like 26 or something like that ranked, and it's only 24 or 20, I don't even want to say 24 girls that make that thing. So, of course, in most people's minds, it's that first so many girls that's going to just automatically get it. So, me getting it then also was just like super exciting because, like I said, I wasn't for sure. And then seeing my name pop up on that screen, that was just like, dang, like that was a moment for real.
I'm in here.
Yeah, for sure.
When you was out there in Chicago, was it a whole week deal?
Yeah, it was.
What the hell y'all doing?
It was cool. We got to go to Ronald McDonald's house and meet with the kids, their families, stuff like that, do some work there, take pictures and stuff. Then we were able to, they have like this exclusive like McDonald's out there that's like supposed to be like high class or whatever, like a high class McDonald's. So we went there, we did stuff like that. Then concerts, like big game rooms, stuff like that. It was a lot. We got to lounge a pretty good amount, as well as pictures, the media, stuff like that. And then just being in that company and being around, we the most elite players of that class, all there. So yeah, so that's just, that itself is cool. The energy was crazy.
And then you got on the court and played in the game,
man.
And so that to me is a big challenge, in my opinion. I've never played at that level with that level of talent, but was it difficult at all being on the court, basically sharing the space and sharing the rock with so many big dogs who are who they are, wherever they came from? Y'all all are pretty much on the same level. Like, how was that?
It was cool. It was a different experience, especially in that time, because like you said, there are so many elite players, and then the there's also the side of it where, okay, this player is way more well known, so this is going to take place for them. They're going to be put in this position, stuff like that. So it's just a matter of just trying to go there, have fun, and then, having your moment or taking care of the rock, doing whatever you can when you have your moment or your time to shine or whatever, and just trying to make fun of it all. And that's really what it was. Like I said, it's hard to not, be competitive because that's just how we are, and, that's the game. But then you also want to have fun. I know our game ended up coming, I think it's an overtime or something like that. So that was cool, just, seeing how everybody hurry up and turned that switch into really, like lose. Yeah, like we for real now. And, nobody wants to lose. So it was all pretty cool experience, though.
I really wish All-Star games, even if they do it just 1 year, where they just say, hey, look here, we're going to forget the entertainment piece. We're going to really go out here and we're going to hoop like strangers.
Yes.
That would be entertaining.
For sure.
But, that's just wishful thinking.
Man.
Okay, so I got just a few more things I'm going to throw at you and I'm going to turn you loose. How do you decompress? All right, whenever you turn your mind, maybe not off, but if you can redirect it to something that doesn't have anything to do with the business of basketball, when it comes to your hobbies, just being a human. Like, what could you be found doing?
It's changed over the years, of course. Like you said, I've been in different states or whatever, so it's kind of having to refine my spot or my area that allows me to do so. I know when I was younger, when I was able to go out to Boynton or whatever with my family, whatever, stuff like that. That was an easy go to. Or even in college, I would always go to like the movies, or I would go on a walk or just stuff like that. But now, I don't know, I meditate a lot, yoga, I write, I journal a lot. What else? Movies. Yeah. I like 2K. I play the Xbox, so I'm always on the game. Music is my thing. So just those, I don't know, each of those, give me something different and allow me to just kind of relax my mind and just, be in the moment. So
I feel that. Mm-hmm. Talk about fam, the influences of them. Now, I've been blessed to know you for a while, so I know some of your family too. And you got your mom, your dad, you got your big bro, Devontae, right? You got your big sis, Alexis, you, and then you got your baby sis, Davin. And that's just the immediates, not to mention because there's a bunch of y'all. So how was it growing up in Muskogee, in the household with all of those different people and personalities and all of that love, and what was that about?
It was, it was definitely an experience. Of course, like all families, we bump heads, we do what we do, but it was fun, especially like you said, my brother and my sister, they were great. To me, they were the Michael Jordan and Maya Moores for me growing up. So just seeing the work they put into stuff and how they were and all that stuff, and then even hearing people talk about how my parents, were so competitive and stuff like that, and even just playing with them in the backyard and stuff was different itself because we always competing somewhere. But growing up, especially like my siblings, like, my brother played and I got to watch his work ethic and I got to see how much he put into, ball and how committed he was and stuff like that. And that itself established and like set a standard for so many things for myself and my process. And then just knowing how, the process my sister took in her journey. And for me, both of them they went on their journey and able to allow me to have everything that I did. So just things like that. And then knowing, like I said, playing against them, fighting because we so angry. I'm not trying to lose, but I'm still small, trying to, figure all that out. To
get that edge.
Yeah, to now, like being older and, being ready to go at them whenever, stuff like that. Of course, we don't play like we would then, but just those moments or, moments like my brother realizing like, okay, I'm for real, and he got to start playing, more serious. Just things like that, and within that process of growing up in that house and just being around, people like that, competitors like that was pretty fun. So
here's how we're gonna wrap it up. At any level, if you can go to one game, I'm not gonna limit you to just one game, but if you can pick one that y'all, whatever team you're a part of, lost and you had no business losing, and if you could go back and run it back, you going to that game. Which one are you going to?
That's tough.
Yeah, I always love this question because, like, most people, especially somebody like you got a lot of great moments. But the ones that stick out are always the ones where we didn't quite get it done. We don't let ourselves off the hook.
Dang. That's tough. I probably have to go. Probably that Midwest City game for sure.
Your last high school game?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I say that because one, that would have been bigger. That would have been bigger than, of course, myself. But that would have been for the town, the city, for everything. That would have. Of course, my legacy is still being built. But that would have been the icing on the cake.
We definitely would have beat. I think. Oh wow.
Yeah, we would.
No disrespect.
Yeah, for sure. That would have been a smooth ride. But just knowing like what all took place, and then that being the last game, that being so much riding on that, I feel like that would have just made Muskogee feel good as a whole, and that's something that I'm passionate and I feel truly and dearly about, just the community and all that stuff. So just that itself, I think that would have been real dope.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think you represented the city of Muskogee very well on this particular platform and with everything that you've done. So I'm one of your biggest fans. I know you hear that all the time, but it's love, always has been, always will be, and you keep on stepping.
I appreciate you.